All right, good morning, Hop Nation. Commissioner coming at you. Back in the Box Productions brings to you Week 7 preview for Hop Football, Week 7. Doing this Sunday morning trying to get this done before the kickoff of the early game, which is Jacksonville Rams. But of course, I always give you the caveat that this is after the Thursday night game, which means that there'll be some of those points factored into the projections. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead, as always, and start with my own matchup. Let me get into the right league. That'd be helpful. And so first matchup is myself, Goodfellas, taking on the Polar Bears. Previously undefeated Polar Bears lost to Matt last week. We both had some Thursday action. I had T. Higgins at the receiver spot, who had a really, really smart play at the end of the game, but cost me a bunch of points in the process. Still had a really nice game and put up 21.6. Anytime you can have 21 points from a player or position on a Thursday night, you're feeling pretty good, because Thursday is usually a little tricky. And on Rick's side, he had the Steelers head coach, and surprisingly, they lost to Cincinnati, so he actually comes in with a -3 so far. That said, let me start on my side. I'll do a quick run through. Going with Jaden Daniels today versus Dallas. Anytime you see a quarterback playing Dallas, you feel like it could be a potentially big game, because their defense is so poor. So I'm hoping for a big game from Daniels. We'll see. In the running back spot, I currently have CMC and Dave Montgomery. CMC has been nothing short of amazing this year. However, they are playing Atlanta. Atlanta's defense has been playing pretty good. It is a Sunday night primetime game, so I'm looking forward to that. Anytime I get to watch the Niners play, I'm happy. And Monty's playing on Monday night versus a good Tampa team. But I'm thinking some points in that game, so hopefully Monty gets to eat a little bit. My other receiver outside of Higgins was Keenan Allen versus Indianapolis. And, Indy's been playing well, but I'm hoping for a high-scoring game there as well. Tight end, I'm rolling out the rookie Harold Fannin. No Njoku today. Fannin has been putting up really good points even with Njoku in the lineup, so I'm excited to see what he could do as the number one tight end. I'm expecting a good game. In the flex, I currently have Mr. Drake London coming off a huge game last week, and Kenneth Walker. Possibility I switch Walker out because of the whole, sort of platoon thing, if you will. However, I read a recent report that there's talk within the camp of trying to get him more work, and that's sort of why I've been holding on to him. I mean, I'm willing, but I don't know. We'll see. If that comes to fruition, I think he can do well, because he's a good player. So anyway, Drake London, Kenneth Walker, both are prime time Sunday night. So tonight you get to watch Drake London and CMC in the same game, and then Monday night Kenneth Walker versus a Houston team. So there you have on my side, and on the Polar Bears side, we have Justin Fields going versus Carolina. Fields it's been rough with the Jets, but we'll see. I mean, he's a dangerous player, and he's got the legs, and you gotta figure he's going to play better than he did last week. In the running backs, we have Vidal and Breece Hall. Breece Hall versus Carolina could be a good game, although Carolina's defense hasn't been terrible. And Vidal, by the way, played unbelievable last week. And by the way, he's a player that I've sort of known about for a couple of years, and I'm not surprised to see him have some success. I don't know if he can duplicate what he did last week, but again, I expect kind of a high-scoring game in that one. So, on the receiver side, Rome Odunze and Travis Hunter. Hunter playing in the game that starts in about 15 minutes from the time I'm recording this. And, man, he has looked good in limited time. It's just a matter of whether or not he gets enough run versus a tough Rams team. On the tight end, you have Michael Mayer, with Brock Bowers still out at least another week before the bye. And that's versus Kansas City. So, good defense. We'll see what he can do. And in the flex, we have currently Rick's playing a little defense, because the top three receivers for Washington are out. I believe Noah Brown's out as well, but Debo and Terry McLaurin are out. So he has currently in his flex the two Washington receivers, Chris Moore and Jalen Lane. And you know what? That could be a very smart, you know, strategy, because I'm throwing Jaden Daniels out there. He's got to throw to somebody. So let's hope for a big Zach Ertz day. But Ertz is questionable too. So anyway, when you factor in the Thursday night stuff with the current players, ESPN does have me projected as a huge 40-plus point, 43 point advantage. And, you know, listen, looking at this, I feel good about where I stand right now. I feel good about the couple of the matchups I have this week. I do think that I'm in line to get a good victory this week. So, you know, will I beat them by 40 points? Probably not. But I do think that I got a good shot. Just looking at the benches real quick as they currently stand, I am benching T-Mac today, unless I change my mind last minute. He's been great this season, coming off a 2-touchdown game last week. But they're playing the Jets, and the thing about Carolina is I don't like a lot of their other offensive options. And if there's one thing the Jets can do is they can shut down a receiver. So I'm thinking that the rookie against a tough defense that doesn't have much other offense, I'm thinking it might be the feasible thing to sit him. I hope he has a great game, but of course I'll end up regretting having sat him too. That's really it on my side. On the other side, Rick does lose. Rick does lose. What's going on here? He does lose Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers. Remains to be seen what Henry is after the bye. But he's out this week, so I don't have to see him. And Zay Flowers as well. And Lamar Jackson, of course, is still out with injury, potentially due back after the bye. So this might be a tough week for Rick, but he has reinforcements coming, and heck, he was 5-0 before last week, so he's doing okay. Rick, good luck, and we'll see how it turns out. Next matchup is Matt Archop taking on OTMC, the Brooklyn Baller, a.k.a. the Detroit Lions. And on this one, neither one had anybody go on Thursday night, so it's a clean slate coming into Sunday. I'll start on Matt's side. He's going Dak Prescott versus Washington. The quarterback watch. Will that be the right quarterback this week? So we will see. Herbert's taking on Indianapolis, but Dallas, Washington, there should be some points scored in that game. On the running back side, Gentry and Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams playing in about 15 minutes. And Gentry versus Kansas City. Tough defense, but, you know, she's been playing better. Wide receivers, JSN and Olave. JSN has been amazing, and he plays on Monday night versus Houston in a primetime game. And Olave versus Chicago. If I have a receiver going, I'd like him to play against Chicago, because their defense hasn't been great at all. Back to the Kyle Pitts experiment at tight end versus San Francisco tonight in a primetime game. And then in the flex, he's got Quinshon Judkins and Bam Knight. Knight going for Arizona, most likely with Brissett at quarterback, and Judkins taking on Miami. That's what he has in the flex. On the Brooklyn Baller side, we have Jared Goff going on a primetime game at home versus Tampa. In the running back spot, you have Dobbins and newly acquired Lion Jahmyr Gibbs. By the way, Dobbins is taking on the Giants at 4 o'clock. And of course, Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams and Sam Laporta are all on Monday night versus Tampa. I've seen this one before with having all the Lions on Monday night. Romeo Doubs is also in the flex, taking on Arizona at 4 this afternoon. And Jordan Mason taking on Philadelphia in what I think is going to probably be a lower scoring game taking place this afternoon. So ESPN has this one projected as a slight advantage for Matt and Archop, 3 points. As I look this over, I actually am going to lean Brooklyn Ballers way. I think Mike's going to get the win here, and I'm basing this off of really one thing. The Lions taking on Tampa has the makings of a potential shootout, and with the addition of Jahmyr Gibbs, Mike is going to. I mean, he's even more in with the Lions, but Mike's going to get, no doubt, the benefit of some of the rushing as well, which he hadn't had previously. I do think that could be a high-scoring game. Should be a really fun game, too. Now, I've often said that Goff struggles in the prime time, but it's a little different when he's home. And so I could see that being, this being one of those vintage 200-point games. And so I'm going to say that Brooklyn Ball is going to get the win here. But Matt's team is very strong and has some decent matchups in his own right. So should be interesting. And hopefully there's a lot to play for going into the Monday night, because Matt has Matt has one guy, JSN, but he's capable of putting up points. And he's going to have all the Lions to look at in Monday night. So, gentlemen, good luck. Moving on, we have Hops Chop Block, Eddie taking on Craig and the Southpaw. There was a little bit of Thursday night action here. Craig had Jaylen Warren going, who came back and had a really nice game on Thursday night, 24.8 points. Eddie had nobody going on Thursday. So, let's start with the Southpaw. Baker Mayfield, and what I've already said, I think will likely be a high-scoring game. In the indoors of Detroit on Monday night, Baker's just a beast. He's become one of my favorite players in the NFL. And honestly, he's got a shot at MVP this year. Mark my words. So I'm expecting, if that game goes the way we all think it could go, I'm expecting a big game from Mayfield. Newly acquired Alvin Kamara is the other running back versus Chicago. Kamara has been a timeshare running back the last several weeks. Been a lot of trade chatter about him. Looks like that's not going to happen. Whether or not he continues to split carries with Kendre Miller remains to be seen. But, I mean, he's not the Kamara of old, but he's still Alvin Kamara, capable of catching some balls out of the backfield. Wide receivers, Brian Thomas Jr., who's been coming on of late, starts soon in the 9:30 game. And Nico Collins playing on Monday night against a really tough Seattle team. The thing about Houston is, offensively, they haven't really looked that good, but Nico still seems to be getting his. So, anyway, tight end Trey McBride, who some might argue gets an uptick with Brissett at the quarterback, because Brissett is a little bit more of a pure quarterback, so I think he's going to be okay with Brissett in there as opposed to Kyler Murray for McBride. In the flex, very interesting, the return of Mr. Rashee Rice and Woody Marks. So now Rashee Rice, the interesting thing about here is how much usage is he going to get on this game. It's a little bit of an X factor, a little bit of an unknown. But he's a young man, he's an athlete, he's been itching to get back, and all reports out of Kansas City are he's going to have a heavy workload. And so we'll see how he integrates, and he's playing the right team, because Las Vegas doesn't have a defense to speak of outside of Max Crosby. So we'll see, but I'm interested to see Rice come back and see how, what that does to Kansas City. Woody Marks struggled last week, playing against a tough Seattle defense. Seemed to take a back seat last week. There were talks of him taking over the backfield. That didn't happen last week, so we'll see. Okay, on Eddie's side, Drake May, who is really coming into his own as a quarterback, taking on Tennessee. Josh Jacobs and Travion Henderson at the running back, continuing to throw out Henderson in the hopes that he takes over. I don't know if this is the week. I don't know what's going on there. And Jacobs is questionable, game time decision, so it depends on whether or not he plays. Obviously, Eddie will have to pivot if he doesn't. On the receiver side, Justin Jefferson and Xavier Worthy. What's interesting here, so Jefferson taking on Philadelphia. I think Jefferson will still get his points. I do think that game will be a little bit lower scoring. Xavier Worthy, how's he going to be affected by the guy on the other side, Rashee Rice? I, for one, think it's going to work in Worthy's favor because he gets to play more of the position he's supposed to. But it is and it's interesting that these guys are playing each other. Tucker Kraft in the tight end versus Arizona. He's been having a good season, but he's been a little streaky as well. On the flex side, Courtland Sutton and throwing out tight end Cade Otton. Cade Otton is one of those that started out the season really slow, but he's been getting some run lately. But Tampa has some receivers, or Mike Evans coming back, and they may have Ibuka as well. So I'm not sure where that leaves Otton and Sutton taking on the Giants. So when you take a look at the projections, ESPN shows this as roughly a 15-point favorite for roll-off for the Southpaw, and I am going to lean that way. I'm going to say that Craig gets the win here. simply because there's a lot more question marks on Eddie's side. It's not a bad team or anything, but I don't know what's going on with Jacobs. Henderson has been underwhelming. I don't know what's happening there. And just taking a look at the benches, which, by the way, I didn't do that for the other matchup. I'll jump back there in a second. But on Eddie's side, he did bench Chase Brown for the Thursday night game, and Chase Brown put up a nice 17 points. I understand the reason why, but you gotta wonder, man. Chase Brown would look real nice instead of Travion Henderson right now. But what are you gonna do? And also, he does have Emmanuel Wilson on the bench, which is good. If Jacobs is out, it looks like he has the direct link. On Craig's side, just a couple of Buffalo Bills receivers, Shakir and Coleman, on bye. And also he just acquired Mark Andrews, but Baltimore's on bye as well. So, look for Craig to probably get a close victory here. But Eddie's team is more than capable. So I think it'll be a close one. I just want to jump back real quick and just see. No, there's nothing to speak of there. Okay, moving on. 2 more matchups to go. Polish Powers and Errol taking on Chris CB here, former champ. And let's see what we got here. So Chris had DK Metcalf going on Thursday night. And it's wild, right? 33-31 game. And Metcalf only scored 8 points. That's kind of a downer. So 8 points going into the clubhouse, and Errol had nobody. Let's take a look at who Chris has going. He has Stafford going in the game that's about to kick off. And then in the running back, he's got Javonte Williams and Rico Dowdle. Here's the problem with Dowdle. Chuba Hubbard's back. No one has any idea what the mix is going to be. Has Dowdle earned extra time in the backfield? No question about it. But is it going to be a true timeshare? I don't know. So Dowdle, I think, is a question mark for me, as great as he's played the last couple weeks. Receiver Tutu Atwell looked to get more run with Puka Nacua out of the game. We'll see. A little Stafford Atwell tandem. We'll see if that comes into play. Tyler Warren, tight end versus the Chargers, has been having a great season. And in the flex, Luke McCaffrey and Kendrick Bourne. McCaffrey, again, is a dangerous player with all the starting receivers for Washington out. And he caught a nice ball from Daniels last week. And Kendrick Bourne looks to continue his hot streak with Mac Jones at the helm, who gets another game versus Atlanta tonight. On Errol's side, Patrick Mahomes going versus Vegas. Probably have a big game, I would think. On the running back side, you have Jonathan Taylor taking on the Chargers and Ramondre Stevenson in Tennessee. No idea what to expect from Stevenson. That backfield has my head spinning, but Jonathan Taylor's been nothing short of incredible. In the receiver spot, you have Devontae Adams and Mike Pittman. What's nice here about Devontae Adams is that he is the number 1 for the Rams, and his opponent has Stafford going. And as I've often said, when you have a number 1 receiver and a quarterback, typically the guy who has the receiver has the advantage because he can hit his bonuses quicker. So, and the receptions get you points, but that does nothing for the quarterback. So advantage Errol there, Devontae Adams. That game kicks off shortly. And Mike Pittman versus the Chargers has been having a nice season. Hawkinson versus Philadelphia. I could see this, again, being a lower scoring game, so we'll see what Hawk does. CeeDee Lamb makes his gallant return today versus Washington. The only thing that gives me pause here is will CD be eased back into the program? He's been out for several weeks, and sometimes first game back there could be a little rust shake off, but CeeDee Lamb's back in a prime game with Washington. Not prime time, but a good game, a division matchup that should have some points scored. And Quentin Johnston is back as well. Same story. He was out, right? Missed a game. We'll see what he can do. Can he get back to form? ESPN has a huge, 30-something point advantage here for Errol. I would have to concur. Again, some question marks on Chris's side with Dowdle, and he has a couple of secondary players in, with McCaffrey and Atwell. And when you have guys like that, they can certainly perform. It's just a matter of what will they do. We're not exactly sure. Their outcome is a little less known. Looking at the the benches here, Errol does have James Cook on bye, and Chris Godwin is back out with injury. Trey Benson is also out as well. On Chris's side, one of the reasons why he has some of those receivers in there that are not household names is Emeka Ibuka is injured and was supposed to be out, although he's now questionable and may play. But it's that issue with the Monday Nighters. When you have a questionable guy going on Monday, you have to have a direct replacement if you're going to roll the dice, or else you risk taking a zero for the guy. So Ibuka right now sits on the bench, and if he stays there, I totally understand why. Also, Travis Etienne has him benched. Josh Allen on bye. So listen, there's some decisions that were made here. Bucky Irvin sitting in IR spot. So there's some players here that are not in the starting lineup that, or under normal circumstances, would be. But hey, sometimes that you have to do that. Currently, Chris has an 8-point lead going into the action. We'll see what happens. Good luck to you both, gentlemen. And finally, the last game had some Thursday night action, and we had Morrow. 43 points from Jamar Chase in what was just a ridiculous game with Cincinnati. Flacco has made a real difference over there. And 43 points from Jamar Chase, that's what you expect from your number one guy, honestly. And on the Scooters Boys side, 9 points from the kicker from a Thursday nighter. So here's what we're looking at. I'll go back to Morrow's team. Jalen Hurts taking on Minnesota. Then you have Bijan Robinson in a prime time with versus San Francisco. And Bill Krosky-Merritt taking on Dallas as your starting running backs. Bijan is always capable of a big game. I like to think that the Niners can hold their own a little bit on defense, but they've also had a lot of injuries too. And then you have the other receiver, George Pickens. Now, here's the interesting thing. Pickens has been a monster. But will he continue to be with CeeDee Lamb back? Because Pickens and Ferguson have been the two players that I've said have been the biggest benefactor of CeeDee Lamb being out. With Lamb back in there, he's the alpha, he's the go-to. So it should be interesting to see where Pickens levels off. I do not expect the same output that we've had from him, but we'll see. And again, that game could have some points scored, so it may not matter. And then in the tight end, you have Dallas Goedert, who had a really nice game last week, something like 30 points. Can he redo it again in Minnesota? We'll see. A.J. Brown has had an off year, has been very highly publicized, has him in the flex, and also Jalen Waddle for Miami. Miami-Cleveland, the weather's supposed to be really bad from what I heard, so I don't know if that's going to come into play. On Scooter's Boys' side, C.J. Stroud taking on a tough Seattle defense. It's funny. Stroud came out so good in his rookie year, but he's really struggled since then. So I wonder, against a tough Seattle defense on the road on a Monday nighter, we'll see what he can do. And then you have, in the running back spot, you have A-Chain and Swift going today. A-Chain taking on a tough Cleveland defense, but he's been really good this season. Again, tough weather, could be a run-heavy game, we'll see. And DeAndre Swift has played really well with going against New Orleans today. Receivers, Ladd McConkey, and again, the return of Mike Evans, so it would appear. Evans would make me a little bit nervous, potentially, with the injury, could it recur, that soft tissue thing, first game back, but they say he's healthy, so you got to roll with your boys if he's healthy. And McConkey struggled with Quentin Johnston in the lineup because he struggled to kind of get his own. QJ is back, so will McConkey continue to stay at the level that he's been when he was out? We'll see. The previously mentioned Jake Ferguson, will his production struggle, considering that CeeDee Lamb is back? Remains to be seen. In the flex, Saquon Barkley, who has had a down year compared to last year, taking on Minnesota. Maybe it's a get-right game for him. We'll see. And then Rachaad White gets another start versus Detroit on a Monday night, with Bucky still sitting in the IR. So when you look at the tail of the tape here, based on with the Thursday points factored in, Morrow is favored by 24 points, and if only because he has a 43 points from one player already in the books, I tend to think that he will probably pull out the victory this week. Again, without that, if Jamar Chase's production was more normal, I might lean the other way. I think this one will be closer than people think because there is a lot of firepower on Rick's side. But I do think Morrow's going to pull it out based simply on the fact that he's got such a huge lead already. And then looking at the benches here, no real big bye weeks to speak of. So we'll see how this one plays out. Good luck to you both, gentlemen. There you have it. The other game is probably kicked off by now, so I'm going to go ahead and upload this video and send it. Wish everybody good luck. Long day of football ahead. And, best of luck to all of you. Kamish out.